هذا القرآن يوحدنا لطريق الخير يوجهنا الله تعالى أنزله ورسول الله معلمنا.
I'm going to tell you about an event today that will come to every single one of you. It will reach you, it will find you, no matter where you go. No matter how far you try to hide yourself, this event will find you. And this event will find you in only one of two ways. And I'm going to describe those two ways today. And that's the only two ways. There's no middle, there's no fourth, there's no third. One of two ways you will reach this incident. The Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, and this is narrated in an authentic hadith, Bal al-Bara' ibn Azib radiyallahu anhu wa ardah. This is narrated by Imam Ahmad. It's also narrated in Abu Dawood in Al-Hakam. That the Prophet ﷺ was once accompanying a funeral, and he came to a grave. And we came to the side of the grave that had not been dug out yet. But the niche that hasn't been dug out yet. The Prophet ﷺ was standing next to that spot. And let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. I love the way the Prophet ﷺ taught people, because he brought reality in their lives. He stood next to the grave and told them a story. He said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, seek refuge with Allah from the punishment of the grave. He told them, seek refuge with Allah from the punishment of the grave. And they said, a'udhu billahi min adhab al-qabr. We seek refuge. He said, say it again. A'udhu billahi min adhab al-qabr. He said, say it again. He taught us, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to never pray one salah without finishing it, but asking Allah azza wa jal from the trials of life and death and the punishment of the grave. So he was standing in this grave, and he told us this, and then he told us to sit down. So we sat down as if we had birds on top of our heads, meaning that they were paying extreme attention. And he said, when the believing servant, and this is one of the two ways in which this dha'iqatul maut, this taste of death, will reach you. He said, when the believing servant reaches the end of his stay in this sijn, this prison that he's been encapsulated in for his entire life, when the believer reaches the end of that, angels with bright faces descend and they sit down in front of him as far as he can see. And then the angel of death comes and sits next to his head and says, O soul tayyibah, O good soul, O purified soul, come out to the mercy of Allah and His great reward. You see, that's the last word the believer will hear in this life. Someone, as Allah Azza wa Jal tells us in Surah Al-Fusilat, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهَ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا, that those who say they believe in Allah and they remain steadfast, that angels will descend at their death and they will tell them three things. لَا تَخَافُوا, don't be afraid. وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا, don't even be sad. Don't even be worried. Don't have any stress today. وَأَبْشِرُوا, but have glad tidings بِالْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُعَدُونَ, of the Jannah that was promised to you by Allah. So this is the last words that the believers hear. And then that soul is so desirous to come out that it comes forth as a drop of water descending from a water jug, just smoothly comes out. And those angels that are around have brought with them a shroud, a kafan from Jannah, and they have brought with them beautiful smelling scents to embalm and wash this soul in. When this soul falls out, the angel of death can't even hold it for 1 second, and those angels take it from him and they begin passing it around. And you know what they're doing with that soul?